Blockchain Mastery Podcast. My name is Titilayo Oyiso. Thanks so much for joining us once again. It's all about blockchain technology, the opportunities and possibilities for the future. And there are indeed so many of them. We've had the opportunity to have really interesting conversations with really interesting people, all on the world of blockchain. Now, we've established that blockchain technology has emerged as a game changer. It's disrupting industries. It's reshaping economies worldwide. But what about its impact on developing countries? How is this revolutionary technology being embraced in regions facing unique social economic challenges? Today, we have the opportunity to delve into this subject. Joining us is Mr. Victor Fawole. Now, he has a deep understanding of the global landscape and is here to help shed some light on some of those challenges and opportunities when it comes to blockchain adoption in these areas. Now, he is a Web3 growth marketer. He has over 4 years working experience in the Web3 space, and he helps Web3 startups gain visibility and increase revenue through growth marketing. It's a big pleasure to have you on the show, Victor Fawole. Welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Titi. It's my pleasure also to be here.
All right. So you need to let us in on how this all started for you. Let's just warm up because a lot of people got into blockchain for different reasons. I would love to hear
All
uh,
right.
your your backstory. Talk to us.
Okay. Once again, my name is Victor Fawole. I got into the crypto industry in 2020. In 2020, then I got to know about Ethereum and Bitcoin. And during that time was the Forsage time that um, they are doing a lot of Ethereum Ponzi scheme, but I was just surprised at how my money grew from a little amount to 4x within the space of 4 days. I was so surprised, and that's part of what led me into the blockchain ecosystem. After the year 2020, I met Valucom Global, founded by Mrs. Victoria Okoroji, Valucom Global. Through Valucom Global, I got the needed education on blockchain and how to get Web3 job. Then I volunteered um, in one of the blockchain blockchain club in my school at Obafemi Awolowo University. Blockchain OAU, I volunteered to be their social media manager because I already have a Web2 knowledge of managing social media handles, Twitter, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and the rest. So I volunteer in helping them to manage their social media handle. Then after some period, I begin to reach out to different projects that I can help them gain visibility because I noticed then that a lot of project doesn't have this global visibility on social media platform. I leveraged that opportunity and I landed my first crypto job at Crypto Locally as a social media manager. As a social media manager, I worked there for a couple of months after I moved on to several startups. And since that time, I've been helping different startups, different top Web3 brands to gain visibility, increase their user and increase their revenue. I've worked with couple of some Web3 projects. I've worked with, as I've mentioned earlier, Crypto Locally, Blockchain Alpha, I've worked with Growth DAO as a growth strategist, and presently I'm working as uh, a writer and a PR strategist at Luna Strategy, one of the top Web3 marketing agency right now.
I
And
can I can
I've been
see that you've dug deep into this industry. You've you've been on so many platforms, but I'm seeing you smile through everything you're saying. I'm not hearing any of like maybe the negatives anywhere. I know some of them must have burnt your fingers.
yeah,
I know one or two burnt my fingers as well. Do you want to talk about some of those experiences before we begin?
Yeah. Okay. One of those experiences was that in 2020 slash 2021, most especially 2021, I thought then as an undergraduate in university, I thought I could turn $25 into $500 easily through futures trade. And painfully, I got liquidated. I cried during that time. And I discovered one thing: growth is not easy.
Mm.
Growth is painful, but the reward worth it. So,
All right then. I know,
during
I
that,
know. Growth is definitely painful, but I think there are some learnings and lessons you learn once you go through those experiences. Am I right?
yes, yes,
Definitely. We
and
have to
the
jump in to our topic for the day.
okay,
Let's just touch on some of the key factors that make blockchain adoption unique in developing countries compared to developed nations, because you mentioned quite a few platforms that were started in more developed nations, but then for some reason they gained a lot of ground. They gained a lot of traction here in West Africa. Can you highlight some of those factors for us?
okay. Um, One of the major factors that made that make it challenging for some developing countries to gain global adoption in blockchain is number one, infrastructural facility. For example, in many African countries, there is no stable power supply, no stable internet, and without power supply and internet, we cannot access the realm of blockchain. Whereas in other developed countries, power supply, internet is not a problem. So this is a big challenge in developing countries, most especially in Nigeria and other countries. Lack of infrastructure, no power supply, no stable internet. That's one of the major hindrances. That's one of the major challenges we are facing in the developing countries. That's part of the major hindrances we are facing. And also limited education. These days, even a lot of elderly people, they thought if a young guy is carrying a laptop all around, maybe probably he or she is a fraudster. But there's no proper understanding that there's something called blockchain. People don't really know about the blockchain technology. There is little knowledge about blockchain. Despite that, Nigeria is one of the country with the highest adoption of blockchain. But if you can check the statistics from chain analysis, or we can see that the education rate of blockchain is just within the people of the age of 15 to 35.
Mm,
The education is just within that range. And for anything to have a global adoption, there must be accessibility to education. For example, now, uh, for example, now, a 70 years old person in Nigeria doesn't know anything about blockchain. And it's because there's still a limited knowledge about it, limited access to educations. And thanks to Web3 Bridge, Valucom Global, and all other big platforms in Nigeria and in other African countries that are frontiering this adoption of education. Because once the education part is solved,
mm,
once the education part is solved, there will be clarity and people will gladly adopt the blockchain. For example, let me use a Web2 example. For example, during the time of ATM, when ATM came into Nigeria, a lot of people are resistant about the change. No, they will take away my money. But when government came in and give proper education about it, we can see now there is no house in Nigeria or in other African countries you can enter, there will be one person that has ATM. as that's because it happens because of education. Also, blockchain knowledge can also go global in the developing country when there is a proper place for knowledge, proper place for education. And the third thing is regulation. Regulation. Most developing countries in India or in Nigeria, in Ghana, in all other places, there is no clear regulatory landscape yet. For example, 2 weeks ago, there was a Twitter space in which Binance founder CZ also talked about regulation. And when one of the speaker talked about Nigeria, he said he cannot say anything concerning this right now because the government are not complying and so other things. And not just in Nigeria alone, the leaders, the people in charge of government, they don't really have much knowledge about this education of blockchain and they are somehow resistant to it. So these three challenges have been a big barrier, in the adoption of blockchain in Africa and in all other developing countries. But the wonderful thing is that as all these challenges, as there are many, also there are countless opportunities. And the
That was
opportunities,
where I wanted to go. That was where I wanted to go next. The issue of opportunities. We've touched on the challenges briefly, even though we should still go a little bit deeper into those challenges if we can. Those opportunities seem to have sort of helped the blockchain space stabilize. People have been able to work their way around some of the challenges, some of the speed bumps, the roadblocks that they've come across in their journey, especially with reference to Web3. Can you talk to us or highlight some of the successful use cases of blockchain tech?
okay, thank you. One of the successful use cases of blockchain tech is that the financial system, transborder payments. Before the adoption of blockchain, it was quite difficult to send money from one country to the other. It takes a lot of time, a lot of delay, and sometimes there will be a bounce back from bank and it will take a long period of time. But with the presence of blockchain now, it doesn't take more than a minute to send or fund from one country to another. For example, or if I living in Nigeria want to make a payment to a person in India, all I just need to ask is to ask for the crypto wallet, the crypto address of the person, ask for the chain, ask for the type of token, and send it to the person. And within a minute, it will get there. Sincerely, this has really helped the financial landscape because it now makes money to flow very fast, and it helped people schooling abroad, it helped merchants, and it helped everyone to get access to funds easily easily. That's for the finance. And the second one is for the job opportunities in the blockchain ecosystem. More than more than the job that Nigerian government can create, blockchain industry alone has created thousands, I mean thousands of job opportunities to Nigerian, to every other developing countries. For example, I'm just a graduate. I graduated 2 years ago from Obafemi Awolowo University. Normally, if it's under normal or Web2, I should be looking for a job, for a government job, for example, with a starting point of maybe 70 or 100 thousand naira. But with the opportunity of blockchain, it has bring job opportunity. I've worked at many different startups. Right now, I've worked at many different startups, and many other people also have gained jobs with blockchain industry now. You don't need to or finish school before you get a job in the ecosystem. All you just needs to have is to have the knowledge, and you are good to go.
I'm thinking about some of the cultural or societal barriers that could be, sort of a hindrance or stimulating, either the adoption or lack thereof in certain areas. Do you think that culture or societal barriers are affecting blockchain adoption positively or negatively?
Um, what I could say is 50-50. There are some time that also blockchain opportunities, the cultural sentiment affects blockchain in a in a negative way. For example, I told you, and I also tweeted about it earlier today, that I told my parents about what I'm doing in the Web3 space, this and that, because with current cultural sentiments, for if you see a guy or a person in a young person that have a MacBook, iPhone, and this and that, people will always portray the person as a fraudster or as a Yahoo guy. But because the sentiment of the cultural sentiment of the people has been patterned in that way, so people see a lot of young adults that have all these amenities as a fraudster. That's a negative sentiment that culture has brought. But the positive sentiment that the culture has brought is that oh, the culture of developing countries will always look for opportunity. That cultural sentiment of also don't sit back or go for go all in and make something happen. It has also helped the adoption of the blockchain ecosystem. For example, I have that kind of mindset that you know I must not be lazy, I must not be lazy. So with that kind of mindset, I dive into Web3, and here I am now. So culture has a big role to play. It has played both the positive and the negative aspect also.
So, but for you, it seems like it's been a really great positive. You've been able to sort of overcome these barriers yourself. Working in Web3, it sort of proves that technology can help in improving financial inclusion and
Sure.
access to banking services. Um, when it comes to underserved areas, do you believe it can help?
Sure, it can really be of help. For example, not quite long ago, not quite long ago in Nigeria, we witnessed this cashless policy that people they are unable to they are unable to withdraw money they are unable to withdraw the money they have in bank, this and that. And all this portray to the future. Future is going to be cashless, and people are adapting right now. It was during the cashless policy, a lot of people begins to know about crypto, begins to know about how to send funds from one person to the other. For example, in some big companies, they are unable to pay their staff in cash because of the place they belong, and they begins to use blockchain. For example, in some places in Kwara State, it was during the cashless policy their eyes open to this blockchain opportunity. It was during the cashless policy that their eyes opened to this blockchain opportunity.
I can see that our friends, the power people, have struck. But I really appreciate your contribution so far. I know we still have your audio, even if we don't have your video right now. Please try and get back on video as soon as you can. But I would love to maybe take this opportunity to maybe discuss what role blockchain can play in improving on supply chain management, things like logistics in developing countries. Do you have anything you can share with us on that?
Yes, blockchain help a lot when it comes to logistic in the area of supply chain. In the area of supply chain, the blockchain has helped because now we can verify goods. For example, in Kenya, they've been using this system. They've been using blockchain to verify goods that were taken from Kenya to other nations. They are tracking those goods, and when they are able to track these goods, it improves quality of those goods and transparency. People will be sure that this thing that I bought is true, is real, is authentic, not the fake one. In the area of supply chain, some developing countries have been using it. They have been using it in the area of supply chain, and even also for education. For example, like blockchain education innovation by David Zoe, they've started issuing NFT as a certificate. For example, people can easily forge certificates right now in at different university, but when we issue out NFT as a certificate, it cannot be forged. It cannot be forged. So those are the ways that NFT is helping, and we can verify things through blockchain right now.
Mm.
In the area of supply chain, in the area of education, the blockchain industry is really helping.
I'm wondering about the regulatory hurdles that might be hindering the implementation of some good projects in Africa when it comes to blockchain. Have you ever come across any? And how, if you had the opportunity to maybe have further discussion with some authorities, how do you think we can scale these hurdles?
Okay, last year I had the opportunity to speak to some founders of Web3 projects, and one of the things that stopped their project from moving is the regulation in Nigeria, and the regulatory procedure of government is not favoring them that much, and that instability in regulation is serving as a challenge. And the major solution for now is just for the projects maybe to launch abroad and have an extension in Africa because of the regulation. And also our government needs to be educated. They need to be educated about this blockchain of a thing, this new era of money, this blockchain. They need to be educated because a lack of education on the part of government is bringing regulatory problem, because they can't make laws on what they don't know. They didn't know about blockchain, and so the laws they are making, those laws are not favorable, and government needs to be educated. So that's just what I felt we should do.
All right, then.
So
We
once the
have
regulatory aspect is
Yeah,
sorted.
we have a comment that just came through here. We have it from Toby Amore. He says he's really enjoying this conversation with Victor Fawole,
Yeah.
cross-border payments, job opportunities. Thank you so much. You can always send in your comments via LinkedIn, via YouTube, and any platform you are listening to us from. All right. So the conversation has been on blockchain adoption in developing countries, the challenges and opportunities. And yes, we consider Nigeria a developing country right now, even though it seems like we've gone a lot further than many other countries when it comes to the blockchain space. It feels like there's still quite a lot of hurdles to be scaled. And let's touch a little bit on maybe healthcare systems, issues of transparency and efficiency
Wow.
in that area. What do you think?
Yes, that's even what I discussed with a friend last week. I discussed it with a friend last week that more than finances, more than supply chain, more than voting, the health system can really benefit from the blockchain adoption. For example, it takes a lot of time for the attendants in the hospital to find a file for someone. For example, if I'm in hospital right now, for them to see my file, it takes a lot of time. But if they adopt blockchain, they can easily verify everything and easily track every file within a matter of seconds. It helps in tracking files, and it helps also in checking the authenticity of drugs. It helps in checking the authenticity of drugs.
So, in other words, if, for instance, you were worried about fake drugs or expired drugs, you're saying that adopting blockchain in that particular industry, the healthcare industry, for instance, will help with that.
Sure, because um all the person we have to do is there will be a unique code at the back of the pack of the drug. Just type that unique code on the particular hospital blockchain DApp, and it will verify whether the drug belongs to them. And if the drug belongs to them, it is authentic. And if the drug doesn't belong to them, that means that it is fake.
I'm thinking now about scalability. You know, how do we expand on the networks, especially in and around Africa now, to sort of help the adoption in regions where there are large populations? If you had the opportunity to be in a room where you could discuss this, what would you say?
Yeah, the major things to do to scale blockchain at grassroots level is just to implement some marketing strategies that successful companies in Web2 have used to penetrate Africa. Person read their career, read about them. If blockchain wants to penetrate Africa, penetrates the underdeveloped country, the developing country, they should just follow the steps of those big companies that are already there. For example, MTN and all these fintech apps, they've penetrated every nooks and cranny of Africa. Why not adopting their strategies in grassroots mobilization? Let's take this blockchain adoption from Twitter and LinkedIn discussion to grassroots discussion. Let there be forums where people can come and learn. Let there be a hub that will serve as an education center that people will come and learn about it. Let there be different sorts of things. Let there be campaigns all around about blockchain. If we begin to campaign all around about blockchain, people will get to know more about it. Let me, as a marketer, I will use an example. For example, Money Point, when they decided that they want to penetrate each city and each villages in Nigeria, they started a campaign and they make it beyond social media. They actually touch the grassroots. Many blockchain companies, many blockchain education agency just focus on social media. If they really want to do blockchain and make it scale in the developing country, the grassroots is what matters. Organizing meetups. If there are a lot of meetups here and there, blockchain will scale. For example, all this MLM business, they have a lot of meetings upon meetings here and there. Also, if it begins to organize several local meetups, we will attract the interest of a lot of people.
And on that note, I'm going to ask that we wrap it up for now with Mr. Victor Fawole, because I know that this conversation still has so many different angles to it, but I need to also give him the opportunity to come back, especially when we figure out some new innovations in the blockchain world. and come to share it with us. Hope that's okay.
That's cool.
All right, then. All right. So if you're just joining us, you've been watching the Blockchain Mastery podcast. My name is Titilayo Onyiso, and we've been having a conversation with Victor Fawole on the transformative potential of blockchain technology. And when it comes to adopting blockchain in developing countries, there are quite a few challenges and opportunities. We addressed quite a few of them today, and hopefully, it's given someone insight into how they can solve some of these problems, which is why we're here. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, all right then. But at this point, we have to wrap it up. We appreciate all your comments, contributions as they've been coming through. Please make sure you send us an email if you would like to be part of the Blockchain Mastery Podcast anytime soon. Just send it to Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. If you would like to ask Victor a question, I know he'll likely be on LinkedIn. Am I right?
Yes.
LinkedIn,
Yes.
Victor Fawole on LinkedIn, and we will do what we can to respond to your questions. All right, then, Mr. V, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, now I honestly, we actually are running far spent on time, but if you really don't understand where we're going with this, just understand that in developing countries, blockchain holds that promise of addressing issues from financial inclusion to supply chain inefficiencies to transparent governance. The decentralized, distributed nature of blockchain has the potential to empower communities, to foster trust, to revolutionize traditional systems. But we can't overlook those hurdles on this journey that so many of us have bumped into. Developing countries face quite a few unique obstacles than those in the West, including, as Victor said, limited access to internet, regulatory complexities, need for more education and awareness about blockchain's potential. Hopefully, we're able to just touch on these issues today in this episode. For policymakers, entrepreneurs, blockchain enthusiasts alike, this was hopefully a little bit of a beacon of knowledge and inspiration to you and to others who might be watching or listening. Until we come your way next time, my name once again is Titilaya Oyinson. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for listening.